Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Carving It Up Live right here on Facebook Live, YouTube, and Twitter. As always, I'm Bryson Carver, and it has been a crazy day, and I mean wild day in the National Football League today. Cam Newton is back in Carolina, and Odell Beckham Jr. is with the Los Angeles Rams, which I was actually going to talk about the three teams that I thought he was down to, at least according to Diana Rossini of ESPN, but nope, the Rams were not one of those three teams, and he's officially part of pretty much the NFL All-Star team at this point. It's unbelievable. But a lot to talk about today. Before I get into anything, before I get into the preview for the topics, I want to wish a very, very happy Veterans Day to all the brave men and women who served this great nation. And, shout out to them, shout out to their families who sacrificed as well, for the freedoms that we get to enjoy each and every day. So shout out to all the veterans out there. I'm actually going to have a good buddy of mine who is a veteran, Ryan Flowers, Clutch Sports Talk. Love his show. You need to check his content out. We're going to talk Aaron Rodgers. We're going to talk, obviously, OBJ, Cam, and a few NBA topics like, the fact that my Warriors are 10-1. His Lakers they won last night against Miami. It was a good win, but, they've been up and down. You're not getting consistent play out of their stars, pretty much outside of Melo. Melo's been outstanding, but a lot to talk about there, as well as tonight's prediction, my prediction for Ravens and Dolphins, what should be, I think, actually closer Thursday night game than some people might anticipate. But first, got to start with OBJ. OBJ was going to be my second topic until about an hour and a half ago when, according to Adam Schefter, Odell Beckham Jr. signed a one-year deal to join the Los Angeles Rams. And now this is pretty much the most loaded team, at least full of big names in the National Football League. And here's what I've noticed. Let's start with the Rams' perspective first, and then I'll move to Odell. For the Rams, what they are saying is, we are going to put all of our chips to the middle of the table for a lot of reasons. A, our division's down. Okay, Seattle's dealing with some stuff. I mean, like Michael Irvin pointed out the other day, Russell Wilson's back this weekend for Seattle. That's great. They're a loss away from their season pretty much being a wrap. I mean, they'll be 3-6 in the NFC West. Like, they're not going to come back from that, even with the greatness of Russell Wilson. And then San Francisco, I don't think San Francisco really knows what they are right now. Is it Jimmy's team? Is it Trey Lance's team? Kyle Shanahan, the hot seat? Is he not? So it's a two-team race for the division, obviously. Arizona, who's got the best record in football, and the Los Angeles Rams, who suffered a pretty tough loss against the Titans on Sunday night. So what the Rams are saying is, look, Arizona's on a roll. We got to keep up with these guys. I mean, they crushed us in our own building a month ago. And Stan Kroenke, who's probably the most aggressive owner, certainly in the NFL, you could argue one of the most aggressive owners in sports. I mean, for what he's done. You didn't even want to talk about this beautiful SoFi Stadium, which is going to host this year's Super Bowl. And what they're saying, we are going to do everything we can possibly do to make sure that we are in and ultimately win the Super Bowl. If not, you can't say we didn't try. Just in the last 2 years, traded for Jalen Ramsey, arguably the league's best corner. Traded for Matthew Stafford, who we all know, and it's pretty obvious now, is an upgrade from Jared Goff. They trade for Von Miller, which nobody saw coming. We didn't even know that Von Miller was necessarily on the trading block. We thought that was Fletcher Cox. We thought Fletcher Cox was going to be the most notable defensive lineman to get traded. Nope. Fletcher Cox is still in Philly. Von Miller is going to LA. He has yet to play a game for the Rams yet. Possibly play on Monday night against the 49ers. But what I think is great from the Rams' perspective is they're saying, look, we've won games. We've been to the playoffs multiple times. We've won our division. Heck, we even played in the Super Bowl just 3 years ago against New England. So, like, if we can't win with this team, then the Rams may have to look themselves in the mirror, even in a loaded NFC and in a pretty good, well, I wouldn't say pretty good. It's AFC's kind of shaky right now. But they're going for it. That's what they do. And as Max Kellerman has often said, fortune favors the bold. You ever notice whether it's an officiating call, whether it's a weird fluke play, it often favors the more aggressive team, whether it's the more aggressive team in regards to adding depth, right? Maybe they get a backup left tackle that really nobody really talked about, but their star goes down, backup comes in and plays great. Like, fortune favors the bold. If you want to be a champion, you got to go for it. You got to go for it. And you can't just rest on your laurels. That'll win championships. Okay, look at the greatest dynasties in NFL, in sports history, but let's just stick with the NFL. The Steelers drafted so well, right? I mean, the Steel Curtain, Terry Bradshaw, number one pick. I mean, those great receivers that they had. Aggressive organization. Same with the 49ers in the 80s, right? Bill Walsh, guys like, Ronnie Lott, and obviously they stole Joe Montana in the third round. The 90s, Cowboys going out and getting Charles Haley, which led them to their first 2 Super Bowls, and then going out and getting primetime Deion Sanders, who had helped the Niners win a Super Bowl. He goes to Dallas, and they win in 1995. Unfortunately, they have not won since then, but we hope to change that this year. And then you look at, obviously, the New England Patriots. Now, free agency-wise, probably not that aggressive, but their big moves were certainly notable. Randy Moss, they took a chance on Randy Moss, and they're a helmet catch away from the first 19-0 season in NFL history. So that's where aggressive gets you in this league. That's where it gets you. And if you're not, you can be good, which the Rams have been. I mean, you want to talk about as well-run an organization as there is. Stan Kroenke, great owner. Right, Sean McVay, some regard as the best offensive coach in football, up there with Andy Reid and Sean Payton. He's brilliant. Comment here from Grady Edwards. He says the Rams could end up being this year's version of the 2019-2020 Clippers. They're signing everyone and their mother. I hope they get a roster spot for me. Stay tuned. He's talking about football-wise. And John from Fan Podcast says Rams are doing it differently. They said forget the draft, LOL. And that's the thing. I mean, they draft is relevant to them. To just for context, Jared Goff was their last first-round draft pick. It's been 5.5 years, okay? So, they're saying, look, yes, you do need to draft well, and they have. They stole Cooper Kupp. Look what Cooper Kupp's doing. He's putting up Megatron numbers, for crying out loud. Ironically, with Megatron's quarterback. They drafted Aaron Donald. So it isn't just a team that's full of free agents. But you need a good combination of good drafting, which the Rams did even when they were the St. Louis Rams. Like, they got some good players. They were just poorly coached and didn't have a franchise quarterback. That was their issue. Well, now they have both. And now they're an attractive free agent destination, A, because they're a great team, B, they're in the city of Angels. Los Angeles is always an attractive free agent destination for anybody. And so now from Odell's perspective, Odell's move says a lot about him to me. And here's why. Because since Odell entered the league in 2014, he's been known more for anything than for highlights, right? Obviously, I mean, who could forget the greatest catch, in my opinion, of all time? Certainly Chris Collinsworth pointed out in the broadcast against my Cowboys, right? Made the one-handed catch over Brandon Carr, was interfered with in the process, could barely see the football if you look at the angle. Greatest catch ever, right? And he made some amazing catches, via the arm of Eli Manning. Like, we can bang on Eli, but guy got Odell the ball. I mean, you can't say that he didn't put Odell in good positions to make plays. And so, Odell's known for the highlights and the pregame and the celebrity of him, right? He's probably the first international NFL star that we've had in quite some time. Like, you got the social media and everything. The one thing Odell has not been known for is winning. And it's tough. Listen, he plays a dependent position. A receiver can't lead a team to a championship. I can argue a receiver can't really, unless you're like Jerry Rice or something, unless you're on TO, and even they had, very good to at least competent quarterbacks. Receivers can't lead teams to even the playoffs, in my view. But winning has never really been a part of Odell's brand. Some of that maybe on him, some of it not so much. Right? He's only played one playoff game, and he was pretty bad, right? Matter of fact, the only thing we remember from that playoff game is what happened before it. Giants go 11-5, had an excellent regular season. Defense was great. Odell had an amazing season, Pro Bowl. And days before the Giants game at Lambeau Field, which in case some of y'all didn't know, gets really, really cold in January. It is Green Bay, Wisconsin. Odell, Sterling Shepard, all the Giants receivers are in Miami, and I think there might have been a blunt in the boat. I mean, it was, there's the distraction of that. And so, and Odell in that game, he's dropping passes. He did not play well whatsoever. So that's what we kind of remember Odell for in regards to what's his legacy winning-wise. Because then he goes to Cleveland, and he and Baker just flat out didn't work. I think most of that is on Baker. I mean, Odell Beckham Jr., y'all saw the video, 11 minutes long. Odell got open a lot, and Baker didn't get him the football. Or he didn't put him in good positions to go make plays like Eli Manning did. So now he's paired with Matt Stafford, who's got a big arm, who's fairly accurate, isn't your, Patrick Mahomes. I'm not even talking about guys like Lamar Jackson or Russ, but he moves fairly well in the pocket, right? Like Matt Stafford, even at his age now, he moves fairly well in the pocket. Getting the ball to Odell, and Odell knows, I would think. At best, he's the 2. He is the number 2 receiver in Los Angeles. Cooper Kupp's the 1. The dude has 75 catches, and we're not even halfway through the month. I mean, Cooper Kupp is seems like having one of the greatest seasons of receivers ever had. Odell's the 2. There's no question. And so he knows, I'm sacrificing catches. Maybe I'm sacrificing a little bit of money. But if I can contribute to a championship winning team, heck, even a championship contending team, play well, be a good locker room guy, all of a sudden my image is repaired, right? Because then people can say, it kind of fell apart in New York because Eli fell off and they weren't a good team towards the end. And in Cleveland, he had an not incompetent quarterback, just an average quarterback in Baker Mayfield, in an organization that definitely doesn't have a history of winning, certainly in the last, at least in the Super Bowl era. That's the thing. So John says Green Bay is a better fit. Maybe, obviously over there, he would have been the 2 to Devontae Adams. I get that. But at the same time, man, he would have a quarterback had he gone to Green Bay that could he trust? Could he trust Aaron the way he could Matt Stafford? And as crazy as that is to say, because we all know Aaron's a better quarterback than Matt Stafford. You saw the whole vaccine thing, right? Is Aaron going to be available? Is he ultimately he could trust Matthew Stafford more. Grady says, I love the Odell move. Stafford has a better opportunity of being there long-term in LA. If he had gone to Green Bay, who's to say A-Rod will be there past this season? He's not going to stay there for Jordan Love. Odell wouldn't have. Guy probably wants a more long-term solution. John says, I like Woods, talking about Robert Woods. Yeah, you want to talk about a number 3 receiver, Robert Woods? Jeez. If Robert Woods is your 3, man, you are just spoiled. You're spoiled with weapons on the outside. So I think the fit's great, and I think Odell's he wanted a big market. He didn't like being in Cleveland. He didn't. Like, he actually lived out in LA. So he's got a house out there. So this isn't going to be too much of an adjustment for him, in that regard. But I think the fit works. I think that the Rams are saying we're going to do anything possible to try and contend for a championship and ultimately win a championship. And I respect him for that. Now, to the news that came out a couple hours before, Cam Newton. Cam Newton has been a free agent for about 2 months now. Obviously, he was released by the New England Patriots after he didn't get vaccinated. Mac Jones, some in New England say, outperformed him in training camp. I don't believe that. I think it had everything to do with the fact that Cam wasn't vaccinated. This is the second time he got COVID, and the Patriots coaches couldn't trust him. And so Cam's been a free agent the last 2 months. There's no question, in my view at least, that he's one of the 32 best quarterbacks in the league, which is saying he's a starter. And so Cam Newton is coming home, at least coming home to where he initially started his career with the Carolina Panthers. They signed him to a 1-year deal, and they did this for a few reasons. Number one, Sam Darnold is out for about 6 weeks or so. To be frank, I would have benched Sam Darnold regardless the way he was playing. He was throwing some terrible interceptions. The guy was playing. I like Sam Darnold, but geez, some of that interception he threw against New England, the pick 6. I don't know what he's doing. And so Carolina at that point, it's like, we got PJ Walker, and we got a chance to make the playoffs. Like, let's see what we can do. Let's try and make a run. And now, as of now, I think PJ Walker's I mean, barring something crazy, is going to start at Arizona. Like PJ Walker is going to be the guy on Sunday for the Panthers. But you sign Cam. Now, this is obviously a different system than what Cam's used to. Obviously last time he was there, Ron Rivera was the head coach. But you add him to a team that's got really good receiver. I mean, DJ Moore, I love to watch that kid. He's shifty. He's obviously very fast, runs routes well. Christian McCaffrey is back. This is a defense that is playing really good football, taking the ball away. So Cam's in a good situation. I mean, this is in some ways at least somewhat similar personnel-wise situation in Carolina than he was in New England. Except the receivers are better. The skill position players are better. Christian McCaffrey. Now, I think New England's defense is better than Carolina's, but Carolina's defense is no slouch. I mean, Shaq Thompson is one of the better linebackers that we have in the league. So that's really ultimately what it came down to. And, for Cam, I thought New England was his last shot. He's getting another opportunity, and I'm happy for him. I'm glad to see that he's getting this chance with the Panthers because I still do think he can play. I still think he's a starter. His issue, really in his career, has been accuracy. Like, he's always been completion percentage-wise about 59 or so. So you're not asking for Drew Brees like 75%, but get it around 63, 4, 5, like somewhere in that neighborhood. And Cam, for the majority of his career, has not been able to do that. Obviously, he has had shoulder issues going back to 2017. So that's something that he's going to have to fix. We hope the shoulder's well. He looked good in the preseason with New England, from what I saw. All the reports out of training camp in Foxborough were positive in regards to his play on the field. So he won't be the starter on Sunday. Again, barring something crazy, PJ Walker will get the start. But I think in due time, I don't know if the Panthers have an off week next week. But the Panthers' next game after this one, I think Cam Newton, number 1, he's going to be back. So it should be fun. A couple comments here. John fan podcast. See, it wasn't the Jets. LOL. Grady said, "I spoke it into existence." Bryson, you did, Grady. We talked about this the last couple weeks or so. You talked about you wanted to see Cam get an opportunity. In Cleveland, if crazy stuff happened. Denver possibly, although I think the way Teddy Bridgewater played against my Cowboys, I think he secured that starting spot for the rest of the year. So listen. Good for Cam. He gets an opportunity where it all began, and, I'm rooting for him. Rooting for Cam Newton, and hopefully he can lead the Panthers possibly to the playoffs, and, we'll see what happens from there. Last comment here real quick. He says, if he finishes the year strong, can I say this could be a Kurt Warner rebirth? Kurt Warner-esque rebirth. Guy was throwing to terrible receivers last season with my Pats. Yeah, I mean, that receiving core was trash. And still, it's a little better. Kendrick Bourne's nice, but it's still not great. I mean, to say Kurt Warner-esque would be saying, lead them to a Super Bowl. I mean, that's what Kurt Warner did with the Cardinals. I don't think it'd be that, but it's certainly, I don't know. It would be one of the better comeback stories we've seen. He obviously wouldn't be the running for comeback player of the year. Yeah, that's gonna be for guys like Dak, Burrow, like that because they played the whole season. But you could maybe make that comparison. I don't know if Kurt Warner would be the one I'd think about. I'm trying to think of another comparison. I can't at this moment in time. But so listen, there's been a lot happening in sports lately. A lot of crazy stuff. NFL, NBA is I mean, it's on fire right now. And so what better way to discuss it than to bring on my man, Ryan Flowers. He is the host of the Clutch Sports Talk podcast, and he is joining the show right now. Ryan, how you doing, my man?
Pretty good, man. Thanks for having me on, man.
Absolutely. Well, first, before we get into anything, I just want to say you are a veteran, and so I want to say thank you for your service to this country, and it's obviously to all the men and women out there. Thank you all for your service, and I appreciate you, my man.
Absolutely, I appreciate you. Thank you.
So let's talk first about Odell. Now,
okay,
I said that I thought Odell fit with the Rams. Obviously, he's not going to get doubled. He's going to get most of the time he's going to get single. He can play in the slot a little bit. He's a very versatile receiver. You add him with the quarterback and Matt Stafford, who's obviously got a big arm, has always been a fairly accurate quarterback in his career, and he's going to be the 2 behind Cooper Kupp. What was your reaction to the deal, and how do you think he fits with the Rams?
When I first saw it, I was kind of like, I shook my head a little bit, not like in an exciting way. I just kind of was like, Like, yeah, I get it, and you kind of mentioned it couple minutes ago. The transition to LA is not hard for him. He owns a house, I believe, in like Malibu down the street from his best buddy there, LeBron James. We saw LeBron James tweeted out last week, hey, free OBJ.
Yeah.
So LeBron has a reach even in the NFL, apparently, it seems like. So when I saw the news, I know a lot of people were going to say, oh, wow, this is a super team. I was probably one of the few that thought, even when they got Von Miller last week, that like this team is going to win the Super Bowl, just lock it up. Even with OBJ, I still don't feel like they're a sure lock anyway. I think they're stronger. I think, though, he's coming into a wide receiver room with capable guys that have been in that system, with Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods. Honestly, I think he's the third option on this team. I don't think he surpasses Robert Woods yet. Hell, he might even be the fourth because you got guys like Van Jefferson, who's been there for quite some time too. Here's the thing with OBJ. He hasn't been healthy in quite some time.
Right.
Obviously, this move to LA, to me, it didn't show that it was more of a football move, because if he wanted to go and let's just be real, Matthew Stafford is not Russell Wilson. He's not Aaron Rodgers. And I get the Green Bay take, if he's going to go there, you're looking to win now. And obviously, we know Aaron Rodgers may not be there next year. So, okay, fine, whatever. But I thought, for me, honestly, I thought maybe Seattle would have been a better move, just because you're playing with an elite level type quarterback. Because at the end of the day, he is dependent on someone getting him the ball. And I'm still not sold on Matthew Stafford being this guy that everyone thinks he is. You saw what happened to him the other night on Sunday Night Football against a pretty formidable defense with Tennessee. And some of that game planning, and Sean McVay was to blame in that too. So overall, I think that they're looking to basically win a championship by buying mercenaries. And in the past, I don't really think that's worked out in any professional sports team. I can't remember any team that has gone out this aggressively in any sport, and I could be wrong, but has gone out so aggressively to get guys who are either damaged or maybe past their prime, and they put it all together to win a championship. So, I mean, I may be wrong. They're still a good team, obviously, but the NFC is deep, and it's week to week at this point. We all saw what happened in week 9. All these underdogs winning. It doesn't mean these teams suck. I don't think the Rams are a terrible team now. They just ran into a buzzsaw in the Tennessee Titans. So overall, the move to me doesn't sway me either way. I still have to see what they're going to do with him when he gets on the field.
Yeah, and there's a lot of variables there. I do think he surpasses, maybe not right off the bat, but I think fairly quickly he will surpass Van Jefferson, who's an excellent receiver. But right. I mean, you could make a strong case though that he is the three. I mean, Robert Woods, man, he's been in the league for a while, but he's still balling at a high level.
It's all about timing, guys. People don't understand. Quarterbacks and receivers, it's a very strong and unique relationship. You have to be able to anticipate guys. Some guys run a post route differently than another guy. They run a corner route. So it all depends on how this quarterback knows him. Like, will he throw the ball when he's making his break or before he's coming to his break? It's all these little intricacies that people don't understand. People just think, oh, well, OBJ is going. He's just going to score 500 touchdowns. It doesn't work like that. These guys got to get together. They got to work. First of all, OBJ has to learn the playbook, number one. Okay. Yeah. He has to learn the playbook. And number two, he's got to get on the same page with Matthew Stafford. So I don't think it's going to be that easy for him of a transition. It's hard. It's one of the toughest transitions to make in the National Football League, especially, you're going from one offense to another offense. So that's why I think he may be a third or fourth option at this point in time. Maybe as he gets more comfortable with the receiving, with the routes, and then, his relationship with Matthew Stafford, maybe they can make some noise.
That's ultimately what I thought about as well is, like you said, timing, quarterback, and receivers. That's what, Baker and Odell were together for 2.5 years.
Yep.
It just didn't work. It never fit. The timing was off. So, obviously Stafford's better than Baker, but, hopefully, it's tough. Can you get the timing right in the next 3, 4, 5 games?
Right.
We still have another, 2 months left in the regular season. So there's enough time.
Will he stay healthy? And will he stay healthy?
Yep. That's a big question as well. He's had 2 major injuries. Right. A couple comments here real quick. John says, I can see OBJ like AB for Tampa. Yeah, maybe. The only difference, though, with AB and Tampa is that at least briefly he was in New England playing with Tom Brady. They already had a pretty good relationship. That I know of. I don't think Stafford and Odell are as close.
I don't think they know each other like that.
Yeah, as Tom and AB were. So
AB's actually worked out with Tom Brady. They have some type of a kinship that goes back way before he was even a Raider. So,
oh yeah, I mean that absolutely, and that's why Tom, really went to bat for him to try and bring him to Tampa.
right.
Grady says, "What happens if Stafford starts struggling? Do we look at OBJ?"
Yes.
Absolutely. That's what
Hell
people are going to
yes.
start looking at. Because look at how Stafford played against Tampa and how he looked against some of these lesser teams. Even like the Giants don't have scrubs on defense.
Right.
He's had some big games this year. Against Chicago, for example. And so if he gets in a little slump, right as Odell comes in, that's going to be the first thing that people look at is like, well, Baker struggled with him and now Stafford. So that stuff does matter. And I think that attention will turn. So that's really interesting. Let's talk a little bit about Cam Newton. This one actually shocked me a little more than Odell because I didn't even know Carolina was in the running to go and get Cam Newton.
Me neither.
What was your reaction? Do you think he fits, and do you think he can give Carolina a chance to make the playoffs?
I think he fits because he's back where it all started. I think just pure and simple. I feel bad for Cam Newton, and we talked about this before the show went live. He to me is not. Someone asked me, was he a Hall of Famer? I said no. I think he's a great talent. He had remarkable years in Carolina. He was must-see TV. And then as he got older, and he's another guy that's injury-plagued, it really derailed his career. Now, I think if he realizes and accepts the fact that maybe you're not a top starter, he could start on a team. I think so. But is he going to be the guy? No. I think, there's younger guys coming through the pikes. When I first heard the news, I kind of just was like, well, you know what? It makes sense because honestly, he's been out well before week 1 and nobody's called the guy. And there's been definitely opportunities for him. And you look at the Jets. The Jets traded for a guy that they had on their roster the year before in Joe Flacco. You don't even pick up the phone and call Cam Newton. There's a reason behind that. He's bigger. He's a larger than life type character. And I think a lot of teams don't really want to deal with that. And I think you bring him back to Carolina. You bring him back to some familiar surroundings. You get to play with guys like DJ Moore. CMC is still there. I know the coaching staff is gone now, but hopefully, they give him a shot. Because I think you're right. PJ Walker might get the start going into this next week. I'm not.
I would think so.
I would think so. But if this is where it ends for him, I guess if you're gonna land somewhere, at least go back to where it started. I would say, and because honestly, I don't think there's a market for him anymore, really. At least as a starting quarterback, and that's what I think about that.
Well, do you think? Say Carolina gets the playoffs, and they've certainly got a shot. They're only 4-5. Their season's far from over, especially in a division where they got 2 other teams that are fighting for wild card positioning.
Right.
Do you think if Carolina does get to the playoffs, Cam looks better than Sam Darnold? Do you think they say, let's run it back and give this guy a full season and see what happens?
I don't know. I think you got to just think about the future because at this point you're in the business to win Super Bowls. And excuse me. Carolina's in a tough position because if I'm not mistaken, they extended Sam Darnold without even seeing this guy play. So they're on the hook for some money for him. And honestly, Sam Darnold is what Sam Darnold. I was rooting for him that when he go to Carolina, that he would just be this guy that like a Ryan Tannehill type situation, right?
Yeah.
He still makes the same mistakes, and he's got better talent in Carolina than he ever had. But if Cam miraculously gets them to the playoffs, I think you still got to hit the reset button. And I don't know what that reset button is going to look like because this upcoming draft really isn't that strong in regards to the quarterback position. If you were going to go get a quarterback, it was this last draft, right? You got 5-6 guys. Yeah. Now, who's the top guy? The guy out of Liberty, Willis? I mean, maybe Matt Corral out of Ole Miss.
The Pickett guy out of Pittsburgh, he can play, but
I
don't know.
And then obviously Spencer Rattler, his stocks has just been plummeted. I mean, literally, he doesn't have stocks anymore. He's not even trading anymore on the NYSE. Okay, so if I'm Carolina, I have to look at it. You know what? Well, I would sit Cam down and say, listen, man, hey, thanks for getting us here. We still want you around. You're still a good leader. I don't think he's not a great leader. All right, I think he's a very good leader. He's motivated. He wants to be the guy, as he should. He's an alpha male, especially at the quarterback position. But listen, we have to move towards the future. You are not the future. We got Christian McCaffrey for right now until he gets hurt again. We need to cash in as quickly as possible. And I don't think he's the guy. He's a bridge. He's a bridge filler or gap bridge or whatever you want to call it. But again, they still have Sam Darnold too. So it's kind of like, well, what do you do? Sam Darnold's a little younger, but I think we've seen what Sam Darnold is going to be in the National Football League.
Well, as you said, and I agree with you on Sam Darnold. I was rooting for him too, but it's not worked. He looks like the same guy
Yeah.
that he was, in a Jets uniform. Do you do you think maybe they, dare I say, keep him as a backup?
Who, Cam or
Cam
Sam Darnold?
Newton. No, Cam Newton.
Honestly, I would, if he wants to accept that role, and I would try to somehow maybe move Sam Darnold. Find one of these teams that are really, really struggling and need a quarterback that maybe you can kind of like sneak Sam Darnold somewhere, foist him as if for you Curb Your Enthusiasm fans out there. There was an episode where he got foisted with a secretary. Well, maybe you try to foist him on somebody else. And you build him up. You say, hey man, he's great, and da 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 da. But meanwhile, you're like, this guy sucks, and maybe you do something like that, and maybe you keep Cam, because what Cam can still bring for you, he can still run the football. He's not a great quarterback, right? Right. He's older. He's a big guy. We saw some games last year with New England where they ran the football very effectively with him, right? That I believe the game that really strikes me the most was that Seattle Sunday night game where they almost won. That was a great game that he played. Like, when you think of Cam Newton, you don't think about great accuracy, right? He's a big dude. He's got a cannon of an arm, and that's great because they got guys like Robbie Anderson who can stretch the field. That's like that. But he's perfect because now you have to include him in the run game. So you pair him with Christian McCaffrey. He's not a bad backup. That's what I would rather keep him over Sam Darnold.
I agree with you. And you made the suggestion. I agree with you that you said the market for Cam isn't that great. I don't think the market for Sam Darnold is that much better.
Right. So no, I don't think so either.
Yeah.
The only thing he's got going for him, he's younger, and maybe you can try to say, I don't know. I mean, I don't even know how you even package this deal. I don't even know.
If he gets, go ahead.
No. I mean, honestly, he'd have to play a lot better down the rest of the year. And I don't know how long he's going to be out for, right? But there's enough tape on him now this year that it's kind of like, there was a game, I believe it was, I forgot who they played. And I'm like, dude, who are you throwing to?
The Giants, maybe? He was pretty bad.
Yeah, the Giants game. Yeah, Giants. And he's like, you're still making the same mistakes you were making in New York. So I think it's more so him not coaching, because I think Joe Brady's a great play caller. He's way better. Anybody's better than Adam Gase. Literally. But it's not so much the coaching and the talent no more. I think Sam Darnold has to look in the mirror. And I followed Sam Darnold since he was in high school. I followed him all the way through college. He's a gunslinger. He doesn't care. He just throws the football, right? And in college, you can get away with that. But in the pros, you're not doing that. These guys, they know your tendencies. They know what you're going to do. And he just hasn't really evolved.
That's the problem. And you got to be able to show a steady improvement in this league to stay around. And look, he was the third overall pick. So just based off of that, he's going to stick around the league. It's not like, he's
not going to just fall out like a Josh Rosen.
No, that was bad. Got a few comments here. Grady says Cam's problem is you got to treat him like a running back in a way, peak wise, right above 30. He fell off, picked up his 5th-year option, but it is 18 million talking about Sam Darnold. John, who is a Jets fan, says nobody trading for Sam Darnold. Nobody. Grady says maybe Detroit will. And he also
honestly,
says
they might. Jared Goff ain't it either.
Whew, he's been bad. The whole team's been
I know we're not talking about Detroit today, but it's like, dude, like they just can't get it right, man. I don't understand that franchise.
I don't know. I don't understand anybody in that franchise, man. It's just kind of a mess. It's a joke.
I knew you were gonna bring that up.
It's a joke, man. You
got that
terrible.
on standby.
I always do. All right. And last question here. Grady says Cam's the quarterback the rest of the season. Agree or disagree? I mean, Sam's gonna be out for a while, and if Cam plays well, the way Sam's been playing, I don't see him getting his job back.
Yeah, because who else is there other than PJ Walker? I don't know who else is on their roster.
Probably some practice squad guys.
Yeah, so unless PJ Walker just completely sucks, Cam Newton's gonna get some start. He's gonna get some burn for sure. I can foresee that here in probably the next week or two.
I agree. Actually, a couple more NFL topics. The whole. I'll focus on one thing in particular. The whole Aaron Rodgers situation was a mess. I already talked about it, the last couple of weeks. Do you think that it affects the Packers locker room in that, like, hey, dude, you got away with stuff that we can't get away with, and we may have lost our shot at the number 1 seed,
right?
Because of your decision, the fact that you lied to the league and to the organization. Do you think that affects the locker room, and where do you see the Packers going from here once Aaron does come back into the lineup, whether it's this week or next?
I think right now, because he's not playing and they just lost the game. Yeah. But when they start winning again, winning heals everything.
It
And I
does.
think some guys right now, they're probably like, dude, like what's going on? But they start winning some games again, which they will when Aaron Rodgers comes back. It's all going to be forgotten. So if I was a teammate of his right now, I'd be like, bro, why did like it's comical to me. But then at the end of the day, if we're winning football games, I don't really care if you're immunized, vaccinated, whatever the case may be. I don't really care as long as we win. That's all I care about.
Yeah, no, you're right. The greatest. What's the old cliche? Winning heals all. It
That's
really
it.
does.
It
It's
does.
unbelievable. So let's move on. Last NFL topic. Let's finish on. I guess is a good note with our Cowboys. Now, obviously, just a bad performance across the board against
Oh
Denver. I mean,
yeah.
that for multiple reasons, they weren't ready to play. There was drop passes. There was
Yeah.
overthrows by Dak. The Micah Parsons was the only bright spot of the defense.
Yeah.
Outside of him, everybody else. Trayvon Diggs struggled against Tim
Yep.
Patrick.
Yep.
So where do you see from here? Dallas. I heard Vic Fangio, the coach of the Broncos, said basically we cracked the code on how to beat the Cowboys. I'm like, I don't know about one bad performance, but do you still see Dallas as very much in the race to win the NFC?
I still do. As far as the cracking the code, it's really not cracking the code. It's just playing football. What I was telling people what the Broncos did, they ran the football effectively. And if you run the ball on anyone effectively, guess what? You own the time of possession. And with an offense like Dallas, limiting their possessions is like gold, because now you start scoring, they can't do what they really want to do, so they start pressing, right? And they make mistakes. They drop balls. Now every down becomes crucial, right? And Denver just kept executing. And I wouldn't say so much the Broncos beat the Cowboys, which they did. I mean, they did. They executed better. But Dallas had a lot of drop. I mean, the two fourth and ones early in the game, it's like, come on, we can't get 4th and 1. We got one of the better offensive lines this season with Zeke. We can't get 1 yard twice. There was a third and like 5 pass to Tony Pollard. He dropped. Amari Cooper dropped a pass. The 2 overthrows that I remember from Dak Prescott, those are game-changing like plays. And then the punt block that ended up being a first down. Is it a stupid rule? Yeah, it is, but it's a rule. It is what it is. But at the end of the day, I'm going to give credit to the Denver Broncos, but I wouldn't say it's like more of a cracked code. I think if the Cowboys, if we run that back again, the Cowboys win that game. Because I mean, Teddy, I don't know what it is about Teddy Bridgewater. He has the Cowboys number. It just seems like he's able to lull us to sleep. He had a great game. I believe he threw close to 300 yards. They ran the ball effectively, and they were missing both of their tackles. So, I wouldn't say that they cracked the code. They just had a bad week. And it's a long season. We're what you can say this is the halfway mark, right? Yeah,
it is.
We still got a lot of games. We have a lot of games to play. I still see them as a viable team, but I will have to see them. I've seen enough so far that I feel confident that even after this loss, they're going to be motivated again. And I think this was a good loss. And people know that's crazy. Look, even in the losses, you have to take some type of wins out of it, right? Maybe they needed to be humbled, because this what they barely beat the Patriots, right? That great overtime win, which showed a lot of gut and grit and determination. Then you go on the bye. You have to fight off the Vikings with your backup quarterback, right? That's another great win, okay? And now everyone's starting to, they're Stephen A is on ESPN picking them as the number 1 team now. They're reading the press clippings a little bit too much, and I think psychologically they're like, yeah, we're the stuff, man. Like we can't be beat. And Denver is like, well, I think they were like 10.5 underdogs. And
they were big underdogs.
Denver's 4-4. We talked about them like, I know I've talked about them being a pretender, not a contender, right? I mean, they opened up with the Jets and the Jags and stuff like that. And of course, I'm thinking Cowboys should win this game, but it's a National Football League, man. You gotta be ready every single game. I don't care if it's the 0-16 Lions versus the 8-0 Tampa Bay Buccaneers or whoever, right? You got to bring your A game, and they didn't bring their A game, and they got outcoached a little bit too. I think that the Denver Broncos were a little bit ahead of them. They had more to play for than the Dallas Cowboys did, because at the end of the day, we're still 3 games up in the NFC East. They're still going to make the playoff, at least as a division leader. Obviously, they may not be in contention for the number 1, but there's a lot of games to be played right now. We still got matchups against the Cardinals, also in the NFC. So we still got a lot of games that need to be played, and we'll see how it goes. But I still think they're a viable team.
Yeah, I agree with you. And having a chip on your shoulder in football more than any other sport, that matters. And so I think that factored more in. Dallas, like you mentioned, had less to lose than Denver. So, with Dak, do you think his struggles were more a matter of he was just off, or do you? He didn't show any issues with the calf. Obviously, that's not my question. But do you think it was rust? Do you think that was the issue with Dak?
I mean, look, listen. Denver's defense is good. I mean, they got rid of Von Miller, but that's a still formidable defense. I mean, like they're not scrubs. I don't know what their exact ranking is, but I would say they're at least a top 8, top 5 defense. I mean, I would say I don't have the stats in front of me, but that's a very good defense still. They have a great secondary. They can still generate a pass rush. The one question we have about Denver is that their offense, could they score enough points? Well, they did. They hung 30 on the Cowboys, right? But the Cowboys could not keep pace with them. Why? Because they didn't have enough possessions. So therefore, we know that Dallas, I believe, is leading the league in yards or scoring, one of those stats. So the best way to keep a team like that is just to keep the ball, and that's exactly what they did.
Give Denver credit where credit's due, man.
Yeah,
like
as far as Dak, I think he's fine. I mean, people, man, when it comes from any news out of Dallas, it seems like it just gets overblown, like with the whole shoulder thing or whatever happened. I'm sitting here like, he's good, man. He's good. And everybody's like, oh my God, his shoulder. And then he comes out that Thursday night, throws for like 400 yards, right?
Throws 58 times too, 58 passes.
All of a sudden, everyone forgot about the shoulder, right? Now it's the calf. Like, honestly, Dak said he would have played that Minnesota game if it was a playoff game. And if he said he would have played that game, then that means he's good to go. They just looked at it from a standpoint like, listen, we got to protect our investment because we're in it for the long run. We can lose this game to the Vikings. We're still okay. They understand that. So, I don't think the calf had anything to do with that. Denver played a really good game defensively. Dak was maybe trying to press a little bit. And, we dropped a lot of balls. We didn't execute. So that's what happens.
There you go. Got a few comments here. Grady says, hey man, losses happen. Brady and the Bucks lost to the Saints. They lost badly, by the way. Yeah. The Rams lost to the Titans. Dallas lost to Denver. I think all elite will have one of two losses of how did you lose that game?
Right. Green Bay lost the first game of the year.
Who's that? What?
Green Bay. They got blown out by the Saints.
Destroyed.
Right.
It was terrible. So. Grady says, I might need that America's team title for my Pats soon, Bryson. We've been winning. You're not getting it. I'm sorry. We were dubbed America's team in the 70s. That ain't changing, my man. I'm sorry. I love you, man. But
in the 70s, I don't know about that.
Yeah, it's
I don't know about that.
John says if Dallas losing the second round, do they still make a coaching change? I mean, I've made the hot take on this show that I think if they win the Super Bowl, they should make a head coaching change and go to Kellen Moore. I mean, hey, they did it with Jimmy Johnson. If you can do it with Jimmy Johnson, you darn sure could do it with Mike McCarthy. But
I think that was a different situation. That was more of an ego thing.
It was.
I don't think Mike McCarthy rubs Jerry Jones that way. So I think
no
Mike McCarthy will be there. He'll be there a while.
Yeah. This is a topic for a long time from now. Shifting now to the NBA, let's start with your team, the Los Angeles Lakers. They've been up and down. You don't know what you're getting on any given night. They played a lot of home games. Yes, last night, watched the game. Is an unbelievable game, albeit against Jimmy Butler, less heat, at least in the second half and overtime. How do you view the Lakers after the first, 10 to 12 games thus far this season? Games. Yeah, I mean – I obviously, everybody out there knows I hated the Westbrook move. I didn't think it worked at all. Some of the other moves I thought were questionable at best. Rondo, DeAndre Jordan. Where do you see the Lakers right now in regards to the championship contention? And do you think LeBron can just, make it work?
I talked about this Monday night on my show. I see them maybe as a fifth seed, fifth seed, maybe in that playing game, right? Because the Westbrook deal was like, I get it. You bring him in because you need the scoring when LeBron doesn't play, because we know LeBron is not playing full seasons anymore, right? So you need that scoring, and he's great at that. Like Westbrook scored 20-some points, but then he had like 9-10 turnovers last night, right, at the point guard position. So it's kind of like it's a catch-22 with him, because you have him there because he will push the pace, he will attack the basket, he'll try to get to the free throw line, which he can't shoot free throws very well, so I don't understand, but then you down the stretch in games, you watch him, and I don't know if you watched the game last night, but
oh yeah, I did.
And they had the last shot, right? They had called a timeout. I'm thinking they're gonna run a great play, right? He takes it, dribbles, goes to the right. I'm like, why did you just give up? Like you didn't even try. And it's stuff like that drives me nuts. And then as far as the Lakers are concerned, they don't play defense, dude. Like this was a very good defensive team, at least the last year and a half to 2 years, right? Now all of a sudden, guys can't, like, they have no real legitimate perimeter defenders. Now you let Caruso go. KCP's gone. And I read a news article today that Caruso wanted to stay in LA, but they were like, nah, we're good. And he actually said, all right, I'll take less money to stay. And they were like, no, I'm still good. So, and you see, he's flourishing now in Chicago. He's playing really great defense. Who's our Caruso now? I don't know. Because look, at the end of the day, ever since LeBron's been in LA, he's been hurt every season he's been there. That's a fact, okay? Number 2, Anthony Davis, a.k.a. Street Clothes, it's coming soon. He is going to be on the bench at some point due to some injury. And back to LeBron again. Look, it's but 10 games. The guy has missed, 6 or 7 games already as it is. They're struggling against Houston Rockets, a young upstart team. You lose to the Thunder twice after blowing 20-plus points, in the second half to lose both of those games. Yeah, they won last night, but Jimmy Butler goes down. Tyler Hero had a really great game, and I don't know. I mean, that guy's playing phenomenal this year. I don't see them as being a championship contender team right now. If I had to pick a team right now to go out and win it all, you got a hat right behind you there, sir, that says Golden State Warriors. And trust me, I hate the Golden State Warriors. I hate them. But
let me go ahead and make this
put it front and center. I hate them. But I like what they have on their roster. I watched them play the Lakers opening night, and guys like Jordan Poole, guys like Gary Payton Jr., who was a Laker at one point. We let him go. Right now, look at him. He's flourishing, right? I guess they're calling him the Mitt. For those you don't know,
the Mitt, so the glove.
So they call him the Mitt now. So that's how you construct the team. The problem when LeBron comes to your town, he almost like he ruins your team. He improves your team by ruining your team, if that makes any sense. Because he gets all his guys. He has guys that he likes, and the GM that brings him in is like, okay, LeBron, whatever you want, man, whatever you want to do, right? And that's exactly what happens, right? Once LeBron, because he's past his prime, I'm gonna say it, and I know our dear friend Barry Grant, shout out to him, hope he's doing well.
Facts.
He would be rolling around right now, and I don't want to do his New York accent, but he would be like, "Yo, son, what are you talking about?" Right? But listen,
yeah, he would.
LeBron is past his prime, and I like LeBron, but I'm watching this team basically just disintegrate. The only guy right now that I can say was a good addition was Carmelo Anthony. And I would have never thought that would have been something.
Dude, he's been unbelievable.
He's resurrected his career. He was in Portland, right? And now he's come to LA. He's still lighting it up. And he's still trying to play defense, right? At the end of the day, they're not going to score enough when LeBron's not on the court. And then they're still not playing good defense anyway. So to me, you have to win. You have to win on the defensive side of the ball. And right now, they're nowhere near that. And I get it. Scoring is down in the NBA, I guess, apparently to some new ball that they're using. They went from Wilson. What's the other? Spalding
to Wilson.
I don't know. Whatever. It's not affecting the Warriors. It's affecting everybody else. But you see it across the board. A lot of teams are struggling. The Bucks are 5-6, if I'm not mistaken. So they're struggling out the gates. But I know for a fact they're going to get it together. They have a cohesive team. The Nets are going to maybe struggle a little bit, but the Lakers, to me, they're just an overpaid, older team. I mean, who are the young guys on our team? I know Malik Monk had a good game last night. I think his best game ever as a pro. And then THT is still on the bench. And then you got Trevor Ariza, who's been in street clothes since he's been back in LA. Rondo was in street clothes last night. And to me, AD is not even giving me enough effort. I'm seeing him get boxed out. He's losing rebounds. Dwight Howard is giving them a little bit of energy, but at the end of the day, man, I don't see them being in the top 4 because Golden State holds that position. Utah's number 2, if I'm not mistaken. Denver's going to make their way up as soon as Jamal Murray comes back. And then who's the 4th team I would say in the West right now? Maybe the Suns. Suns will fix their problems as well. They got some issues too, because obviously with the whole owner situation, with the racist comments and the misogynistic comments that were made, but they got guys like leaders like Chris Paul. Monty Williams, a hell of a coach. So they might right the ship there. But the Lakers' problem is that they're old and they have a lot of ego-driven guys that are like, I'm good. I mean, you look at Westbrook, and I know I'm carrying on here, but listen, Westbrook, you love him or you hate him because he's an alpha male. He's a throwback, right? But then you hear him with the media. The guys are asking him, like, well, what did you think about that play? Well, you saw the game. Well, yeah, we saw the game, but we want to hear your thoughts. So to answer your question, long story short, I don't see them being in championship contender mode right now.
I mean, I had them. It's so funny you say, I see them as a 5 seed. That's literally what I said before the season started. This is listen, they got a lot of talent. There's no question about it. Part of the issue of them struggling defensively is the fact that they're how about oldest team in NBA history, Ryan? I mean, that's what I said before the season, during the offseason when they made all these moves is, look, the Melo moves absolutely paid off. Carmelo's been outstanding. He's really been, if you look at their most consistent player, LeBron's been hurt. AD, you don't know what you're getting. Westbrook, you definitely don't know what you're getting. And what you were saying about that last possession, I was watching the game, and Westbrook's dribbling, right side. And I'm thinking, I see Melo's got his hands out. I'm like, just go to Melo, drive it, kick it to Melo. He knocks down a shot. And it was very similar to those years in OKC when KD's, clapping for the ball and Russ is taking a
stupid
three. Shot. Yeah, I mean, it's
like you're not a great jump shooter, dude. Like, what are you doing? Get in the pick and roll. Like, and it's crazy because they called a timeout. So it's like that was the play. And if that's the play, Frank Vogel, dude, call him. Hey, I'm gonna put my resume on LinkedIn after this show. Because if that's the case, anybody can call plays for the Lakers at this point. Because to me, that's a terrible play call. Right? At least put him in the pick and roll. You got AD, you got him driving to the rim. Maybe you kick out to Carmelo, but to have him just sit there and I think there was 15 seconds left on the clock. He dribbles it down to about 4 seconds. Then we all know what he's going to do. He's going to shoot a fadeaway from the 3-point line. Doesn't make any sense.
And then this is why I said, people are like, oh, LeBron will make it work. I'm like, look, Russ has played 13 years this way. You think he's going to change now? He's got the triple doubles. He's got the MVP. He's got the All-Star. LeBron, and nobody's changed that. Vogel's not changing that. Magic Johnson, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, they can't change it.
And let's be real. I don't think no one's scared of LeBron anymore. These young guys coming into the league, they don't have that same fear. Maybe they did have a Kobe or anybody like a Jordan. They don't have that fear. And I like LeBron. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to dog him, but look. The Lakers are struggling with these young guards. You saw what Shai Gilgeous-Alexander did to them last week. I mean, just dribbling around these guys. The young guards from Houston, right? They're just penetrating at will. The Warriors when Steph Curry gets going, and then Jordan Poole, right? And look, James Wiseman hadn't even played yet.
That's what I was going to talk about. Is the next question was going to be about my Warriors. I can't not talk about these guys
right now. I love the way they're playing.
10-1. You mentioned Wiseman. How about this guy who wears number 11, who has the all-time record for threes made in a game? He's going to be back, according to Thompson, right? According to Brian Windhorst, possibly December 21st. So we're talking, just a month from now. And so, I'll give my take, and then I'll ask you about Golden State. And I talked about this last week. This is how you construct a basketball team. You got your superstar, Steph, a guy who can give you 50, which he did against Atlanta on Monday night. You got your kind of the bouncer at the club, Draymond Green, really a do-it-all player.
He's a glue guy.
You got Looney, who had a double-double last night, who's an excellent offensive rebounder. Gary Payton II has been an absolute steal.
And he's been around the league, so it's not like he's been overseas. He's been in the what's the other league they call the NBA, the G League, right? So he's been around. G League.
He has, Jordan Poole from rookie year to now has improved tremendously.
That guy.
And Andrew Wiggins, I people dog the trade. I said, look, he fits better than D'Angelo Russell did. He's really a better version of Harrison Barnes.
Yeah, I was
better
just
shooter, better defensive player. So he fits that system. Are you? Maybe you're not surprised that Golden State's been successful, but have you been surprised that they're 10-1 with the best record in the association?
Honestly, Bryson, after that first game against the Lakers, I'm surprised they're not 11-0. I don't know who
blew that one against Memphis.
Okay, and I don't even know how that even happened. The way they're playing, what I love about them, and this is something the Lakers don't do, the way the ball moves on the offensive side of the ball, man. Lakers are so ISO. It's everything. Okay, I'm gonna sit here and dribble. AD, come on, give me a pick. Okay. Oh, they got me. Okay, I'm gonna start back up. LeBron, you do ISO. AD, and I know we're gonna talk about Golden State, but then AD's like, oh, I want to come out to the perimeter and shoot. Like, get your butt on the block, right?
Yeah.
But the way the Warriors move the ball, the way their stars move without the ball, especially Steph Curry. Steph Curry moves so well without the ball. Like he don't have to have the ball, right? He lets someone else dribble up the court. He's running around doing his thing. Open 3-point. I love ball movement.
Yes.
And teams that move the ball usually have a lot more success because the offense it's in flowetry. It's not stagnant, right? And honestly, I'm surprised they lost to the Memphis Grizzlies. Kudos to them because
Yeah.
the way the Warriors are playing, man, like they're looking like at a champion, and they play defense. Like that's the biggest thing. You don't think of them as a very strong defensive team. Well, they're in San Francisco now. They got Steph Curry. They got a new arena, this and that, but they play tough defense, man. And that accounts for something at this point. And I think that's probably attributing to why they're 10-1, right? Because you got to play defense. You got to get stops when you need to get stops. And wait, like you said, Klay Thompson will be back next month, right? And he don't even have to come in and give them 20 points a game. They can just slowly work him in, and they'll be just fine. And who knows? Maybe they decide to move on James Wiseman, right? Maybe, who knows? And get another piece. I don't know. Iguodala comes back. I'm thinking, Iguodala's still in the league? Yeah, he's still in the league. And he's still giving him valuable minutes off the bench, even though he's older, I would say, versus a Trevor Ariza who's not giving us anything for the Lakers. So honestly, they're the best team in the NBA, hands down. And because the way I look at their talent, they have a nice balance of everybody. They got their superstar in Steph, and everybody else knows their role. Jordan Poole knows, hey, I don't need to give you guys 30 a night. I can do it if you need me to. Because that game against the Lakers, I think Steph, I don't think he had 20 points.
I think he's had 21, but he had a triple-double. He affected the game in different ways.
Right, but Jordan Poole was the driving factor in that game, right? Like, he was the one getting those big buckets. Steph didn't shoot really well that game, and he said it himself. He's like, I don't even know how he won this game, right? But you play team basketball. That's how you're going to win against teams like the Lakers, who they're all ISO mentality. So I like the Warriors, man. I really enjoy watching them. As hard as it for me to say that, as a member of the Pacific Division, as a Laker fan, the Warriors are a fun team to watch. They're one. It's hard for me to watch the Lakers at this point, man. I have to kind of just force myself.
Well, that's why you're as good as you are at what you do, because you give credit where credit's due.
Thank you.
You give your flowers. They'll play off your last name there. You give flowers where they're due. But
I'm honest, man. I keep it real. I keep it a buck.
Yeah,
man, so
100%. But that's the thing is, you got guys they signed in free agency. You got guys that they drafted. Heck, guys they took as Juan Toscano Anderson was playing in the Mexican League, and they stole him. So this organization is as good as it comes. Bob Myers is, to me, the best general manager in the sport.
Oh yeah, in the last 10 years, he's up.
Oh,
there.
absolutely. And
in any sport.
He's picked up. It's been unbelievable. So, props to all those guys. A few more comments before I let you go here. John says, let's go Bulls. John, we got to talk after the show, because the Warriors actually played the Bulls tomorrow night. We got to make a
big game.
Little wager on that. That will be a big game.
It's a big game.
John's obviously a huge Melo fan, and he's been balling. Grady's talking about the Lakers. They're all right. I think I'm going to have to wait to make a decision on this team. They'll be a top 4 or 5 seed team in the West. How far they go is up to LeBron's health. And
AD. It's up to AD's health too. Because if he goes down, then LeBron's got to carry most of the load. And
we saw that worked last year.
He's not that guy. LeBron is a great player, but he's not that guy anymore, man. What's the injury now? It's abdominal?
Yep.
Where did that come from? You know what I mean? Like, it just,
I don't know.
He played against Houston or OKC, and then next he's out. It's like what happened?
He's almost 37.
Right.
So that comes with
Father
age.
Time is undefeated. No one beats Father. Maybe Tom Brady. He's the only
Brady's
guy
giving him a run for his money.
Right.
He's giving him a run. Let's see. If he's healthy, this team can win it all. If not, they'll go home in the first, second round. Haven't heard much recently. Do y'all know what's going on with 25 in Philly? I've lost track with it at this point, Grady. Ben Simmons is all over the place, bro. He's been the butt of a lot of jokes for about.
I thought Philly should have just moved on from him and just it shouldn't even be an issue anymore. Like, and I get it. What's the name of the GM? Morley.
Daryl Morey.
Morey. He's trying to be firm, but it's like, dude, it's become more of a distraction to your team. You can trade him, and you can get a lot for this guy. I would say. I mean, there's some teams out there would probably trade for him. I thought your Warriors would have been in the mix for that. He would be a great.
Thank God we did not.
But who would you give up for him? That's the thing. But I think he can go somewhere. He's a great defender. He's unusually gifted as a ball handler, because he's like a point forward. I mean, the guy can score. He can score, but where his as Marshawn Lynch would said, what did he say? You got to work on your mentals, right? We don't know where his mentals is, so That's a big if. And maybe this is all a show because he's like, I don't want to be out of Philadelphia. And I know he's losing like, I don't know, $360,000 a game. That's nothing for him at this point. The guy makes so much in endorsements. It's not that much of a big deal for him, but he wants out of Philly. Let him get out. I mean, it's no different than any other star in the NBA who wants to get out of their contract. Watch, you're gonna see Zion Williamson doing stuff like this. Maybe that's why Zion is eating more, gumbo and beignets.
He has put on weight. I've noticed. He's definitely put on weight.
I am so glad I never picked him. I liked him, but I didn't think he was better than John Morant.
I was more of a Zion guy than a John Morant guy, but man, Ja's been unbelievable in Memphis.
I just know the NBA is a perimeter game. Big men are nice, but you got to be able to dribble, drive. Zion not doing that, and eventually he's gonna hurt himself if he's over 300 pounds. That's ridiculous.
He might be just trying to force his way out of New Orleans that way, almost the James Harden route, just without taking shots at teammates, coaches, organization, etc. But listen, there's a lot going on in the NFL and the NBA. So listen, I really appreciate you coming on the show, man.
Absolutely, man.
For all those who have not seen your show before, let them know where they can find Clutch Sports Talk.
Yeah. So you guys can catch me live on Mondays on Facebook, YouTube, and now Twitch. So if you have a Twitch account, go and search me on Clutch Sports Talk Live. The show airs around 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 7 Eastern. I talk about anything, man, and I keep it real. I have this segment where, I have clutch moments, not so clutch, people that mess up, people who do great, things like that. But that's where you guys can catch me. And then on Sunday mornings at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, noon Eastern, I do my NFL Sunday morning. So I kind of go over some news, notes from around the league, get you guys ready for some games. I'll give you some of my picks because I live in Vegas, so I like to gamble a little bit. Right now I'm 11-9, so I'm above 500. So
that's what matters.
So I'm trying my best there. So, but yeah, that's where you guys can catch me at. But like I said, hit me up on my Facebook, Instagram, or Twitch account, and I'm also on Twitter. But Instagram is mostly where I operate out of. So yeah, that's where I'm at.
There you go, Ryan. Appreciate you coming on the show once again. Happy Veterans Day, and listen, can't wait to watch your show on Sunday and Monday, man.
Appreciate it, man. Thanks, Bryson.
Yes, sir. That was Ryan Flowers of Clutch Sports Talk. Been a good buddy of mine for about a year. He actually helped me with getting this show started as far as going live, as far as graphics. You guys need to check out his Monday shows are really good, no question. But his Sunday morning shows are excellent. He gives you the betting lines for the NFL games. Obviously talking about what's going on around the league, like that. I always love. I get up in the morning. I do church. I look at some of the pregame shows on Fox and CBS and ESPN, and then after that, I tune into Clutch Sports Talk Sunday mornings on Facebook. So absolutely, go check them out. So got a few comments here. Let's see. Grady says that might work. The way it's been looking, Jason Tatum might be gone soon enough. I don't think Tatum would force his way out. By all accounts, right now Tatum's good in Boston. He's got his money. He's obviously emerging into a great player. Grady says Boston just loses everyone. Yeah, they do. I mean, of course, the whole Kyrie Irving thing, that was more on Kyrie than it was the Celtics. But I mean, listen, I don't think they would trade Simmons for Jaylen Brown. But that doesn't make a ton of sense to me at all, because look, Jaylen Brown, he's committed. Outside of last year, for the most part, he stays healthy. He gets better and better and better every year, something we don't see from Ben Simmons. So that I don't think that. And plus, Ben's complained about the reception he's gotten from fans in Philadelphia. He's acting like Boston's that much easier. Boston's a rough sports town. I mean, I'm a Red Sox. I'm all over the place, guys. I mean, Warriors out in San Fran, Cowboys down in Arlington, Texas. Obviously Tennessee in my home state, and then Boston all the way up in Massachusetts. But no, being a Red Sox fan and kind of immersing myself in Red Sox Nation, Boston fans, they're tough. The Bruins, the Patriots, Celtics, Red Sox, that is a tough sports town. So I don't know if Ben Simmons wants that. I think he wants Sacramento. He wants Sacramento, as my man Barry Grant Jr. says, or calls it NBA Siberia. That's where Ben Simmons wants to be. There's no pressure on him there to win, to really do anything except show up and play basketball. That's it. I mean, Sacramento has no expectations and really haven't for about 2 decades since, that team that challenged the Shaq and Kobe Lakers in the conference finals. But that's where Ben Simmons wants to go. Question is, will Sacramento give up anything? Maybe. Last topic of the day, we got Thursday night football tonight. Got the Miami Dolphins, who are 2-7, hosting the Baltimore Ravens, who got a big win, an exciting win last week against the Minnesota Vikings on Sunday. They're 6-2 and currently leading the AFC North, a division that has gotten crazy. I mean, that division is going to come out of the wire. Like, it's probably, when you think about it, when you sit and think about it, probably the one division where we actually could see any of the 4 teams winning it. Like, seriously, like, I have my criticisms of Baker and Cleveland. That roster is stacked. Pittsburgh, they're 5-3. I got my criticisms of Big Ben. Mike Tomlin, all he does is win, no matter what. Never had a losing record, ever, as a Steelers head coach. You look at the Cincinnati Bengals. I got to admit to y'all, at this point, even the way they played against Cleveland and the Jets, I wouldn't be stunned if Cincinnati won the division. I wouldn't. The way Joe Burrow's playing, Jamar Chase, I mean, that tandem's been, I mean, outstanding. So that's that's gonna be a crazy division. Obviously, you got the Ravens tonight. The line as it stands right now is Ravens on the road, favored -7. That sounds about right. Obviously, the Ravens coming off a home win, going on the road, and they're still 7-point favorites. The Dolphins, 2 wins, come off a fluky win at New England. I don't even like New England. I can say that was fluky. Fluky win at New England in week 1, and then they beat the Houston Texans. Like, everybody beats the Houston Texans. If your name is, unless your name's the Jacksonville Jaguars, everybody beats the Houston Texans. They're an absolute, just a dumpster fire of an organization. They're horribly run from the top on down. But let's go and put my prediction right now. To start week 10, we are already slightly over halfway done with the 2021 NFL regular season. I've got the Baltimore Ravens winning this game. I don't think they cover the spread, though. I will say that. I don't think they cover the spread. They win this game 34-27. Because here's the thing. We don't know if Tua Tagovailoa is going to play tonight. As far as I know, there's no updates as of right now. That, kickoff is about an hour away. Trying to get some Tua news right now. He is out. My bad. Tua, let's get up here. Tua is actually going to be the backup tonight. So Tua is available, but he will back up Jacoby Brissett tonight for the Miami Dolphins. So Jacoby Brissett's going to get the start. Tua is going to back up in case Brissett gets hurt or if Tua needs to come in. So the biggest thing, the reason I have this game being so close, Baltimore secondary is not good. Now, to be fair to them, even before the season started, they just had nothing but injuries to that part of their defense. And so I think Miami takes advantage of that with some of their skill position players. And I do think they keep it close for a while. Listen, we've seen crazier. The Bills lost to the Jaguars. The Broncos crushed the Cowboys on the road. Like, we saw some crazy things in the NFL in week 9. So I don't think this would be insane. The Ravens not covering the spread, winning by only 7 and beating the Miami Dolphins. But that's what I think is going to happen. Ravens win this game 34-27. That is Thursday Night Football tonight. John Johnson's Tua is not playing tonight. He's actually going to be, like I said, the backup to Jacoby Brissett, according to Cameron Wolf of the NFL Network. So Tua is available. He will be the backup, though. Grady says, very true. Deshaun can't even beat Houston. They're a dumpster fire of an organization. I know I've said that a million times, but they are bad. All right. So I started the show with my Dak Prescott hat. I finished with the Warriors hat that was on the shelf. I appreciate Ryan Flowers, my man, Clutch Sports Talk. Y'all go check out his show. You go subscribe to his channel. Follow him on social media. Great dude. Really good at what he does. So appreciate having him on the show and talked about Aaron Rodgers and Cam, Odell, the Cowboys, the Lakers, and the Warriors. He's a Lakers fan. I'm a Warriors fan, in case y'all couldn't tell. But I had a great time with him. Be sure to check out tomorrow's show of Carving It Up. That's all the time we have for today's show. 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific time tomorrow. Friday is always my favorite show. You know why? Because we do NFL predictions. That's why. So I'm going to predict all 12. Yeah, it's 12 games on Sunday in the National Football League. There's some really good ones. There's some surprising lines. I got my upset of the week ready. I've got my If I Were a Bet Man segment, which I botched the last 2 weeks. I'm going to get it right this week. 3rd time's a charm. So hope to bounce back from a couple weeks of just blundered picks. So hope to see y'all there. Have a great evening, everybody. Enjoy the Dolphins and Ravens game tonight, as well as whatever you may be doing in your own personal space. So have a great evening, everybody. See y'all tomorrow. Continue to stay safe. God bless you all.